Good morning, St. Francis. Good morning, people of God. It is Thursday, the 17th day of July, 2025. It is Thursday of the 15th week of the year, the 15th week in Ordinary Time. Another sweltering day here in North Carolina, although it doesn't seem as oppressive this morning, but it's going to get hotter and then stormier and just like everything else. So it just continues, and hopefully it will end soon because Father really can't take much more of this. It just is too much at times. So, but anyway, on this Thursday of the 15th week of the year, continuing the story now of Moses and how God in the burning bush now speaks to him, basically to say to him, this is this is who you are to tell the Israelites that I am. And because Moses asks for a name for this unseen voice, and it's like, what are you doing? What are you all about, and things like that. And so, so God basically says, not giving a name. A proper name, as in a noun and things like that, like the other gods and goddesses of the ancient world seem to be called by. What God identifies God's self as is a verbal statement. I am. Again, that which becomes known as the name of God that is not spoken in Judaism because it is too powerful a name to speak, but it is a name of activity. It is a name of action. This whole understanding of what it means to be a verbal entity, which again, made in the image and likeness of God, as we are too, we ourselves as believers are also verbal entities, and this is where, again, the understanding of a name as being rather definitive, declarative, and basically just that, as a name, a verbal entity basically opens itself up to all kinds of possibilities. What kind of am is this I am who is God? What kind of existence itself is this God? How does this God then manifest God's self in a variety of ways that speak of being, that speak of activity, that speak of action? This is the God who is revealed to Moses. And again, this is what is new and striking, different from any other kind of divine entity that the ancient world would have experienced. This one who calls itself being of all period, being as it is again a God who needs to be reckoned with, a God who comes to understand things very differently and asks us to understand things very differently. Again, this God, though, then goes on to say things like, I am concerned about how the Egyptians are treating, my people, which is a bit, again, bizarre. Really? Concerned, God? Couldn't you be a little bit more, angry, troubled, distressed, by this? But again, God speaks in these ways that just seem to be, very unknown and mysterious to us in some ways, and yet this is the way in which God accomplishes, what God needs to accomplish. And basically God foretells that Pharaoh is going to be stubborn. He's not going to want to release you so that you can come to be my people, and so I might have to show him my might, and again, how God will do that is what we'll see in the next couple of days, but suffice for now to recognize the fact of this verbal idea, again, more so than just any noun, any proper name could ever give. This God of ours is a God always of action, of activity, a God who is at work always in the world, a God who basically thrives out of this understanding of activity, and calls us into that same kind of world of dynamism that is this God. In Matthew's Gospel, again, a God basically who says, I am here to give you rest. I am a God who also, again, having shown my might in different ways and have freed you from your burdens and your tasks, now basically call you to rest and to follow me. Because again, my burden is light, and I'm not asking you to do much beyond your own capabilities and what you're able to do yourselves. Again, this understanding that God doesn't give us more than we can handle sometimes is a bit trite, and you have to be careful with how we use that in different ways. But it has this origins here in this kind of statement from Matthew, where again, we place upon ourselves tremendous burdens in our idea of serving this God at all costs, and yet sometimes our God just wants us to follow and to listen and to rest in the wonder and beauty of knowing that we are loved and cared for. A blessed day, St. Francis and people of God. May the Lord give you his peace.